Stop everything! What you're about to witness is not just another headline, not just another story that fades in tomorrow's news cycle. No, this is a living nightmare. A tragedy so devastating it has shattered a community, ripped apart a family, and left millions across the globe gasping for air through their tears. It was meant to be a night of joy, a night of celebration, a concert where light would fill the darkness, where voices would rise in worship, and where one man's gift, the voice of Deitrick Haddon, would once again remind broken souls that hope was still alive. His voice wasn't just music, it was medicine, it was healing, it was proof to some that God still spoke through man. To others, it was the rope they clung to in their darkest valleys. But in one horrifying moment, that voice, the voice that lifted countless hearts from despair, was silenced forever. The lights dimmed. The crowd screamed with joy, expecting their beloved singer to appear, glowing as he always did. But instead, another figure stepped onto the stage. Dr. Jackie, a name respected in the medical community and within the gospel world. Nobody knew why she was there. Nobody expected what she was about to say. Her hands trembled as she gripped the microphone. Her face was pale, her voice unsteady, and when she finally spoke, her words didn't just echo, they cut like knives. Deitrick Haddon's voice is gone forever. The room fell silent for a single suffocating second, then chaos exploded, screams pierced the air, fans clutched their faces, sobbing, some collapsed to the ground. Mothers held their children tightly, shielding them as though they were protecting them from a storm too powerful to endure. And then, one sound shattered the arena completely. In the corner of the stage, Dominique, Deitrick's wife, let out a scream so raw, so primal, it felt like it tore through heaven itself. She stumbled forward, her body convulsing with grief before collapsing to the floor. Security rushed to her side, but it was too late. That image, the broken wife crumbling before the world's eyes, was forever seared into the memory of everyone present. Phones shot into the air. Within minutes, clips of Dominique's collapse and Dr. Jackie's grim declaration spread across the internet like wildfire. Hashtags ignited instantly. But pray for Haddon. The voice gone forever. Save Deitrick. Twitter X exploded. Instagram flooded with shaky videos capturing fans fainting, crying, hugging strangers for comfort. TikTok filled with teenagers recording tear-stained reaction videos. By midnight, millions had seen it. By dawn, the entire world was grieving. But grief wasn't the only thing spreading, so was suspicion. Hours later, Dr. Jackie reappeared in a chilling press briefing. Flanked by security, her face drained of color, her voice flat as stone, she spoke only a few words. He suffered a permanent vocal complication. Further details cannot be shared at this time. No questions, no clarifications, no explanations, just silence. And that silence spoke louder than anything. Instead of comfort, it fueled a firestorm. Fans begged for answers. Instead, they were given shadows. And in the absence of truth, rumors took root and spread like poison. Two worlds emerged online. One side accepted the tragedy at face value. They prayed, wept, and flooded social media with memories of how Haddon's voice had saved their marriages, pulled them through depression, and carried them in their darkest nights. Churches held vigils, gospel radio stations played his greatest hits back to back, each note now soaked in grief. But the other side, they weren't buying it. They accused management of lying. They pointed out how deliberately vague Dr. Jackie had been. Why hide the details? What are they covering up? They demanded. And then came the conspiracy theorists. Some claimed Haddon had secretly battled addiction and his voice was the cost. Others accused promoters of pushing him to sing until his vocal cords gave out. Darker corners of the internet whispered of hidden illnesses. And then came the most sinister theory of all, that foul play was involved. The internet burned. Hashtags evolved. A truth about Haddon. What are they hiding? Justice for Deitrick. Then, the most explosive moment arrived. A leaked, blurry backstage video surfaced. Recorded secretly on a phone, it showed Dr. Jackie speaking urgently to members of Haddon's team. The audio was muffled, but one phrase was unmistakable. Don't let this leak. The world erupted. Don't let what leak? What was the truth? What were they hiding? Conspiracy theories went from whispers to roars. A podcaster released a viral episode titled The Silent Scandal, claiming to have obtained leaked medical documents. He alleged toxic substances had been found in Haddon's system, hinting at possible poisoning. Within 2 days, the episode had been shared millions of times, amplifying the panic. Meanwhile, Dominique reappeared in public for the first time since her collapse. Cameras caught her leaving what appeared to be a counseling session. Her sunglasses hid swollen eyes. Reporters swarmed her, shouting questions, and with a trembling voice, she finally broke her silence. "You don't know the whole story." That single sentence sent shockwaves across the globe. What didn't the world know? What story hadn't been told? Behind closed doors, grief tore the Haddon household apart. Sources whispered that Dominique refused to eat, spent nights sobbing, and couldn't even look her husband in the eye. Their children, confused and terrified, reportedly asked her, "Is Daddy ever going to sing to us again?" Each time, Dominique crumbled into tears. And Deitrick himself, he hadn't spoken a single word publicly. His social media remained frozen, silent, eerie. Fans begged him online, "Please say something, give us hope." But his silence only deepened the despair and strengthened suspicions. The once celebratory concert hall had turned into ground zero for mourning. Fans camped outside, refusing to leave. They sat on the cold pavement, singing his songs through tears, voices cracking, desperate to keep his music alive. Around the globe, churches held candlelight vigils. Families wept in their living rooms. Entire congregations prayed as though begging God to reverse the unthinkable. But beneath all the grief lay something darker, something that pushed this tragedy beyond heartbreak into scandal. Because when voices are silenced, secrets start screaming louder. And this was only part one. The world thought they had heard the full story, but in the hours and days that followed, the tragedy of Deitrick Haddon would unravel into something far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. But in the middle of all the noise, through the tears, the hashtags, the endless clips replayed on screens across the world, one figure stayed quiet, the very man at the center of it all, Deitrick Haddon himself. No statement, no live stream, no video, nothing, just silence. A silence so heavy it pressed down on everyone who had ever heard his voice, on every fan who begged for reassurance. And that silence only gave life to the rumors, feeding them until they grew wild and uncontrollable. Then, weeks into the storm of speculation came another devastating blow. A leaked voicemail, allegedly from someone close to Haddon's inner circle, surfaced online. In it, a weary, hushed voice could be heard saying, "He's not just lost his voice, he may never even speak again." Those words detonated across the internet like a bomb. The world froze. Could it be true? Had the tragedy gone beyond singing? Was Deitrick Haddon not just silenced as an artist, but silenced as a man? The thought of him unable to whisper a prayer, unable to tell his children good night, unable even to speak his wife's name, it was unthinkable. Fans fell into deeper despair. Across America, church leaders called for nights of prayer. Gospel choirs gathered, holding candles, their trembling voices singing his songs in broken harmony. Social media flooded with desperate pleas. God, heal his voice. Congregations bowed their heads as though the entire faith community had stepped into collective mourning. But under the prayers, suspicion sharpened like a knife. Why had Dr. Jackie chosen to make the announcement in such a brutal public way? Why had Dominique, in her rare appearances, dropped hints about secrets untold? Why had the management team refused to speak? And above all, why had Deitrick himself remained unseen, unheard, a ghost at the center of his own tragedy? Theories evolved into accusations. Some believed his team was deliberately silencing him, keeping him from speaking out. Others claimed he was in hiding, too shattered to face the public. And the darkest corners of the internet insisted something more sinister was at work, that the truth was being buried to protect powerful figures in the industry. Meanwhile, media outlets played and replayed the now infamous sequence. The lights dimming, Dr. Jackie's trembling voice, Dominique's collapse, the crowd's panicked screams. That clip became the most replayed tragedy in gospel music history. Yet every replay brought the same realization. Too many details didn't add up, too many questions had no answers. And somewhere, hidden from every camera, hidden from every microphone, sat Deitrick Haddon, once a man whose voice carried millions, now silent, unseen. at the center of a storm that only grew louder by the day. What really happened to his voice? Was it truly gone forever, or had the world been deceived? Why had Dominique warned that the full story wasn't yet known? And why had Dr. Jackie whispered backstage about something that must not leak? The tragedy had shifted. It was no longer just about a voice lost. It was about secrets smothered, suspicions growing, and a family unraveling beneath the crushing weight of silence. For fans, the heartbreak was unbearable. For the industry, the scandal was explosive. And for Deitrick himself, the silence was deafening. This was no longer grief. This was the beginning of something darker. Something bigger, something capable of destroying a legacy or exposing the gospel world's deepest secrets. As days bled into weeks, the suffocating silence surrounding Deitrick Haddon became unbearable. Fans begged for clarity, but none came. Every unanswered question twisted grief into obsession. The world no longer just wanted to know if his voice was gone. They demanded to know why. They demanded to know at what cost. And then, the first bombshell. A journalist from a major outlet claimed to have obtained leaked hospital notes connected to Haddon's treatment. The documents were blurry, incomplete, but one detail leapt off the page and sent shockwaves through the world. Scribbled in the margins were the words, "Possible external strain." The revelation detonated. What did external strain mean? Was it an accident, or had someone somehow caused this? Fans launched full investigations of their own, dissecting every performance, every interview, every clip from the months before the tragedy. Some swore they saw him wince on stage, clutching his throat while forcing a smile. Others claimed whispers of conflict had surfaced behind the scenes. Arguments between Haddon and his team. Then came Dominique's breaking point. Cornered outside her home by reporters, her anguish was raw. Her face streaked with tears. She didn't hold back. She spoke just 5 words. He should have been protected. Those 5 words shattered the world. Protected from what? Protected from whom? Theories multiplied. Some accused management of pushing him into a brutal schedule, ignoring warnings and silencing doctors who tried to intervene. Others claimed he had collapsed weeks before during rehearsal, but had been ordered to continue to avoid financial fallout. And then the whispers of sabotage grew louder. Jealous rivals, hidden enemies, dark motives. The industry's silence made things worse. The management team refused to comment. Their silence poured gasoline on an already raging fire. Protesters appeared outside their offices holding signs, "Give us the truth." Justice for Haddon. Dominique's suffering deepened. Sources revealed she had stopped eating properly, barely slept, and was consumed with guilt. In a leaked conversation with a friend, she could be heard whispering through sobs, "I should have stopped him. I should have saved him." The clip broke the internet. Fans flooded social media with compassion, but also fury. Fury at the machine that had driven him to the breaking point. Then came the next twist. A former tour staff member went live on Instagram. With trembling conviction, he claimed he had witnessed Deitrick screaming in agony backstage during the last leg of the tour. According to him, Haddon had begged for a break, but management refused. The show must go on, they allegedly told him even as his voice was tearing apart. Those words cut like a knife. The narrative shifted. This was no longer just a tragedy, it was exploitation. It was betrayal. It was the story of a man sacrificed for profit. And then, another leak. A grainy, gut-wrenching video from a private studio session emerged. In the clip, Haddon struggled to sing. His face was red with effort, tears in his eyes. Nothing came out but broken whispers. In the background, Dominique's voice cracked with desperation as she sobbed and begged him to stop. The clip was only seconds long, but it devastated millions. The hashtag "those they broke him" trended worldwide. The outrage was unstoppable. Activists, pastors, celebrities, and ordinary fans demanded accountability. Gospel legends posted tributes. Younger artists tweeted their anger. One rising singer wrote, "This isn't just about Deitrick. This is about how the industry destroys the very voices it claims to celebrate." As the pressure built, Dr. Jackie finally stepped forward again. Cameras flashed, microphones crowded. She admitted there was more to the story than the public had been told, but still, she refused specifics. "Certain details cannot be disclosed at this time," she said, and once again, she vanished, leaving more questions than answers. Dominique, however, could no longer hold back. In a heartbreaking interview, she described how Deitrick now sat in silence for hours, tears streaming down his face, forced to write notes on scraps of paper because speaking caused too much pain. She revealed how their children begged him to sing, but he could only hug them, unable to release even a single sound. Her final words cut through every heart watching. He died the day his voice was taken. The interview went viral instantly. Fans wept across the globe. Networks replayed it endlessly, podcasts dissected it, TikTok filled with tributes. Yet despite the grief, the mystery refused to die. What truly happened? Exhaustion? Negligence? Sabotage? Something darker. The lack of clarity fueled speculation until it spiraled into obsession. Some theorists went further, suggesting Haddon's silence was not just tragic, it was deliberate. That powerful figures in the industry were ensuring the truth never came out. The tragedy was no longer just personal, it had become cultural, a cautionary tale, a rallying cry. Vigils were held in multiple cities. Thousands gathered with candles, posters reading, "Forever Our Voice." Crowds sang his songs together. Voices cracking, breaking, but refusing to be silenced. And everywhere, the same question burned. Was this truly the end of Deitrick Haddon's legacy? Or was it the beginning of a much bigger fight? His silence had become louder than any song he ever sang. Each day he remained voiceless. He became a ghost, haunting the very industry that once celebrated him. And Dominique's tears became the world's tears. Her every appearance, her trembling words, her broken body language turned this tragedy into something larger than one man. It became a movement, a cry against exploitation, against secrecy, against betrayal. Still, one image burns brightest in the world's memory: Deitrick's broken whisper, Dominique's anguished scream, the sound of a world shattering in real time. This isn't just another story, this is a tragedy that has branded itself into history. The truth may never fully come to light, but one thing is certain: the internet will never forget, and the people will never forgive. So we're left with one haunting question, one that refuses to die. Was Deitrick Haddon's voice truly lost to fate? Or was it stolen by the very machine that once celebrated him? The stage lights are dark, the microphones are dead, and the man who once carried millions now sits voiceless, drowning in silence. But the world will not stay quiet.